It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3 online, ESPNEvansville.com. I am being told from Gavin that we've got Zach Keefer from the Indianapolis Star on the Menard Studio Hotline. Let's bring him in, get his thoughts on yesterday's Colts-Broncos game. Zach, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. I know we kind of threw this together at the last minute, but you've had the chance now to sit and you talked to some of the players. There's been a press conference and whatnot. What is the overall feel of the team coming off that win yesterday?
They're ecstatic, obviously, and rightly so. You know, this is it's hard to put this one in perspective, but you can't say enough about Ryan Grigson and what Chuck Pagano's done in 3 years. You know, those guys get criticized a little bit in Indianapolis. There's no criticism today, not at all. All the critics have been silenced the way they played yesterday. Rookie coach, rookie GM, rookie quarterback back in 2012, and it took just 3 years for them to get to the AFC Championship game, which is just remarkable. And it's great. It's a great storyline that they're playing New England because that's been their biggest kryptonite, much like it was in the Manning era. You know, they've had 3 games against New England since Luck took over, and those are losses of 22 points, 21 points, and 35 points. All of them have been extremely lopsided games. So you don't need to tell the Colts how tough a challenge Sunday's going to be.
Now, do you feel, in talking to some of the players and stuff, that and I think I even heard Pagano say it in a post-game press conference last night, that it felt like a lot of people, and even myself included as a Colts fan, in my heart I had hoped that they were going to win that game, but in my head I thought, I don't know how this one's going to play out. Did they feel like they went in with a chip on their shoulder because nobody gave them a chance?
Yeah, and you hear that a lot in sports, but I wrote about the defense yesterday, and I talked to just about every defensive starter, and I heard that over and over and over again with they knew that nobody was picking them. And Mike Adams, you know, I got to give him credit. We talked to him before the Cincinnati playoff game, and someone asked him, you know, what makes you think this team is going to get hot? And what makes you think you can win one game in the playoffs or maybe even 2 games in the playoffs? And you got to go back, and I think it's a fair question because they looked awful in Dallas in Week 16. They didn't really play their starters in Week 17 against Tennessee. This is a team entering the playoffs without any momentum at all. And Mike Adams was asked that question, what makes you think they're going to do anything in the playoffs? He pointed up at Andrew Luck's locker and said because of that guy. And that's part of the issue. I mean, that's absolutely part of it. His Luck has been phenomenal in 2 games. But the defense, you know, I go back to 2007. It feels like that, almost this defensive renaissance. They just figured it out. They picked their best time of the year to play their best football. So that goes into it as well. And yeah, Denver was a better team on paper, but paper doesn't win you football games in January.
Well, you know, the Colts only give up 13 points to a Peyton Manning ran offense with towers everywhere at receiver in the Thomases and Emmanuel Sanders with the speed, everything else. In your opinion, obviously you follow this team very closely, being the Colts. What did their defense do yesterday that made them just that good? I mean, they were just lights out.
Yeah, absolutely. It starts with the cornerbacks. In my opinion, Vontae Davis has been, you know, either number 1 or number 2 in terms of cornerbacks this year in the NFL. He's been that good. He did not allow a touchdown all season, and we're talking thousands of snaps in the NFL, and that's impressive. I thought Greg Tuller was going to be a huge X factor yesterday because he's been picked on at times this season. You know, the Colts, they're kind of a Jekyll and Hyde defense. You go back to Week 6 at home against Cincinnati, and they allow the fewest yards by defense all season, 135 yards. 7 days later, they go to Pittsburgh and allow the highest total of any defense all season, 639 against Pittsburgh. So hot, cold. What defense was going to show up? They were lights out yesterday. Starts with the cornerbacks. Greg Tuller was terrific. And everyone's going to talk about Peyton Manning and his thigh and whether he was 100%. No, he was not 100%. Anyone knows that who's watched Manning over the years. But when he was going deep, those guys weren't open. And even if they make the catches, the safety help was there every time. Mike Adams was terrific. D'Qwell Jackson had 10 tackles. Jarrell Freeman's really played well in the last couple of weeks after not doing much the rest of the season. And then the line's been good. It's not an elite defensive line by any stretch of the imagination, but Art Jones is back and he's playing well. And they're just clicking. But for me, it starts with the cornerbacks because that's the best tandem in football right now.
Talking to Zach Keefer with the Indianapolis Star. You can follow him on Twitter at ZKeefer, Keefer. He's on the Menard Studio Hotline. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3 and online, ESPNEvansville.com. One thing I wanted to ask you about, and I don't know if you've had the opportunity to talk to anybody with the team, Trent Richardson was a healthy scratch yesterday, inactive for that game. What does that say about his future with the team?
It says a lot. It says that there's probably no future. And we talked to Chuck Pagano about that today, and the explanation was they figured that that Michael Hill was their option, and they tried Trent at special teams last week, and it was, trust me, it was a strange sight to see Trent Richardson on special teams in practice on Thursday. He wasn't very good at special teams, and that's not a discredit to Trent. This guy's been a star running back since high school. You know, he didn't play special teams at Alabama. He didn't play special teams at high school. Why is he going to do it now? He wasn't very good on special teams. Michael Hill was a better option if they had to have a body for special teams. That was how the decision was made, and that tells you a whole lot about where he's at with this organization. They stuck with him too long, and you're seeing the way Boom Herron's running the ball. Boom Herron hasn't been terrific, but he's been good enough, and this offense has just been so much better without Trent in the fold. I can't see him back next year.
Well, that's what that was gonna be my next question. I believe he's still, I don't have it in front of me, but I think there's still at least a year, maybe two left on the contract. Obviously, they won't be able to get near anything what they gave up to get him. Are they willing to just say, you know what, this one was a bust, we're just going to cut our losses and move on?
I think so, and I'm not for sure on that because it's an interesting situation because Trent is really cheap. You know, 2/3 of his contract was paid for when he arrived here. So it's kind of like, you know, he's there and he's a body, but I think his production has been so poor that he's not even worth a roster spot at this point. The only reason I could see them keeping him is because he's still affordable and, you know, he's a decent blocker. But hey, I'm stretching, and I just can't see him back. They just need to mark this up as a lost trade. Ryan Griggson's resume is pretty sparkling. Other than this one trade, I think he can live with his one black eye. But I can't see Trent playing next year for the Colts, and there's no trade value for him at all right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Let's look ahead here just in the last couple of minutes we have with you, Zach. Look ahead to this game on Sunday, AFC Championship. They got to go to Foxborough to play the Patriots. Obviously, the Patriots are the Patriots. They're just that team each and every year. I would have said had the Colts been playing the Patriots last weekend, I probably would not have given them much of a chance. But after what I saw against Denver yesterday, and you can say, you even mentioned it there a minute ago, and we talked about it earlier in the show as to whether or not, you know, the revelation that Manning has this partially torn quad, if that tarnishes this win by the Colts in any way, shape, or form. But I really like their chances against the Patriots this week. I think it's going to be a very close game. How do you think this plays out?
I'm going to agree with you to a degree, and I'm hearing a little bit of that. Oh, the Colts just beat the Broncos yesterday because Manning was out. I'm not buying that at all because I thought the Colts won the game as much as Peyton and his guy lost the game. I thought the Colts just played their best 60-minute football game of the year, and I'm not taking anything away from them. New England's a different animal. You just saw the way they absolutely dominated them back in November. They ran 37 plays with 6 linemen. And that led to 201 yards from Jonas Gray. There's always those wrinkles that Belichick comes up with that are just those tactical moves that just gives his team an edge. I'm not sure if the Colts are ready to jump over the hump. I see a close game, but I see New England winning.
All right. Zach Keefer, appreciate the time with the Indianapolis Star. You can check his stuff out there. Also follow him on Twitter at @ZKeefer, Keefer. Zach, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.